You know what I'm saying? You got to be real for you. And in being real for you, you attract everything that's really for you. Other than that, you have nothing. And what you think you have don't even belong to you. But what you attract out of really being you, really for you. And that's something that has to be remembered. And even as recruiters and putting this information out, we won't escape that with promotional tactics and strategies. You won't. You just draw charlatans.
Right.
Who trying to get a fast buck on the nation building, or use some type of strategy to get you by acting like they're cooperating with you. But in reality, it's a whole strategy. You can get that in the promotional world. But if you're really on nation building, you'll see that from a mile away. And that stuff won't even work. And the people that actually generate will actually be real. You know.
We was talking about that too, but even the solid Baba and all them, it's only off of that true magnetism. You know, people want to be around real people. At the end of the day, none of the rappings, none of the skills, all that. Fuck, I just want to be around real people.
It's a fact. It's a fact, man. You said it.
I don't even care if it's below 30. I would rather be around real people than be around some
and I felt like that in the temple,
shit.
drinking that snow water. The people that I was around in that temperature, they was real people. They was real people, and they was there out of reality. They was there for the same reason I would. They'd rather be among real people in 40 below weather than fake people in the Ramada Inn or the Hyatt. That was a reality. Then you see what people really are made of. And then the smallest act is compassionate. You sitting on a room floor, somebody bring you a blanket. It has great compassionate value. She laughing at me. I'm like, but I'm serious. We take shit for granted till we are in real situations. And you take it for granted.
The basic is the richest, the most simple things is the most richest and profound things on earth. The rest of that shit is just almost Hollywood, man.
Correct, man.
That shit
If some of us got in a real situation and saw the real people that was here, the compassion that was really here, they would just start crying for days. But the way, the distractions don't even let you see the real levels of compassion. And that's why people cry so hard when people die. Because it never hit them. Every small act of compassion plays back in their mind. Like, damn, that motherfucker really was real. Damn, I was on all this bullshit. I took all that for granted. That's really what they crying about. Because they really had no real knowledge of the pain and suffering from another. They've already made the transition. Nobody knows what the hell they're experiencing. So why is niggas standing up there crying? If they done did that nigga wrong. That's what they crying about. Damn, and the other day, they asked me for that and I was just being selfish. Shit. You know what I'm saying? All this shit played back. And that's what they really are crying about. But when you live in a real life, you know you have experienced it all for what it really is, and there is no loss. How do you lose the experience of it all? And if you really present and you really a momentarian, you have experienced it all. There's no loss of death. You really experience the profoundest nature of it through your level of openness and realness. And some people will have to reincarnate thousands of times and put their different separate reincarnations together to have an experience. And some of us are so open and so conscious and so receptive that we're in every moment of it. So even when we die, in our deaths, we didn't die because we lived it all. You can't eat all your plate and have wasted food at the same time. You follow me? So how is there death? You lived it all up. Nothing died because you lived fully. You can only die if you have lived. Right? So when other people died, they didn't die. We experienced them fully. Our heart was open to them while they were there. They never died. We experienced all that was there in them, in their compassion and in the reality of them. So they didn't die. They only completed the journey. It's a whole nother mentality. And in our hearts, we can relive the reality of them. That's a fact. We go and discredit people and hope we experience them again in heaven. You won't. That's it. You fucked up. It's not gonna happen. We take people for granted and think we're gonna see them in heaven. No, that's it. You get to heaven, you're gonna be up there by yourself, playing them tapes back. So it would behoove us to really be open and experience the fullness of people. You know, and I tell myself, I'm not gonna let too many more years go by where I don't get into now completely.
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm doing the same vibration.
You there too?
Hell yeah, man.
And I think
You get real sincere about the point, like, man, all the
Right.
little things, the little stoppers, no.
I'm not gonna let that go by. I'm gonna really get in and now, you know. And I think that's important for all of us because we start to see, we get wise enough to see opportunities that we didn't take advantage of because we wasn't in the now. But in taking advantage of them opportunities, we change our now into the future that we want to be. And I always give this analogy. If it doesn't come from now, it'll never exist. It's a fact. If it don't come from here, it's not coming. This will just evolve into what we make it by how we respond to it now. That's deep. That's heavy. The people we are looking for are here. The time we've been waiting on is now. It's a fact. And we embrace that. We didn't waste no time. We didn't waste no time. For some people, it take them 50 years to see what they was looking at to even take advantage of the opportunity. It's going to take them another 10 years after they saw exactly what they was looking for to begin to think about what they could do with what they saw. And another 5 years to actually begin to start taking advantage of it, man. And by that time, it's too late. It's too late. So now we in key moments where we actually can do it. And I hear many people talking about they went to the land where Dr. York was at and they sat there, but they didn't take it seriously. And it just went away. But if they had took it seriously, it wouldn't have went away and it wouldn't have just been a memory. It had been something that was erected now for the experience. So when people come in a nation building, they really got to come not into what we're talking about, but come into the experience. Come into what they truly want to experience
And that's
in their consciousness.
That's the concept of the Black Oasis. That's like you said. That's the vision, to actually come into an oasis where you can totally maximize your potential and create. You know that's why the space is here for you to continue to maximize self in that creation.
Right.
Everything else is, you could do that wherever you were if you're not really trying to manifest that in the now. If
You
you're
teaching.
not trying to manifest that in the now.
And they got to come into, passion is how you experience something. And it's heavy right here. Like, no one can experience something passionately for you. That's a fact. Your approach to it, your enthusiasm, the love that is in you, radiating out from you, will determine how you experience something. You cannot drink a cup of tea for anybody else and let them smell every fragrance and taste every spice in the tea. You cannot do that for anyone. That's how they approach the tea. You cannot approach it for them. You could be the best tea maker in the world. But what they will get out of it will be their approach. And if they're not a real tea drinker, they don't know how to savor every sip. to taste it and gain the aromatic benefits of it. They'll drink it down like it's Kool-Aid. So, so what I'm saying is that your approach to reality is what you get. If you approach it with passion and love, that's what it is. If you approach it as something to be discarded, that's what it is. And it's yours. Somebody told me the other day, I appreciate everything that I have. They said, they figured since they got it, it must be worth something. I said, damn, that's deep. I gotta take that. I gotta borrow that. Because that's the type of reverence that we should have for the space and energy of that which is around us that we are among. We got to have that type of perseverance. So, I was talking to somebody, and I'm gonna end it with this, but I was talking to somebody, and I said that when you see people come to me and ask me all the time, like, well, you consider yourself to be a god on some religious, they're looking at that religiously. They don't really see the spiritual, intellectual, profound insight of it. And what I mean by that is that when I look out at people, I see goddesses and gods, because I am the seer. And if I look out of my eyes and see anything less than divine perfection, I am not enlightened. I am not realized. When I look at people, the highest level of humanity with how I look at things must be divinity. The highest level of humanity that you could attain is divinity. When you see the divine nature of humanity. You follow me with that? So if you looking at people and saying, you think you a God, who this nigga think he is? Everything you should see divinity. You should have divine opticals.
Right. You said this is my projection.
Right. Divinity should pour from you to such a degree where everything you see is divine, because you know what? You can only see it negatively or positively. You can only see it extremely negative or extremely positive. So it will behoove you to begin to contemplate and perceive the divinity of that which is before you. Because now you get to live in that. You get to live in a world of your seeing. And if you see anything less that's worth seeing, then you're not doing yourself any justice. It's a fact.
And that's deep, because on that note, I was thinking just on the element of you want to have blissful moments. You reach a point where you just say, you know what? I desire, my highest intent is to have a continuum of blissful moments.
Right.
And in that blissful moments it's just your essence exuding out of yourself in each moment. Whether it's eating fine food, whether it's making love, whatever the experience is, it's blissful, and you want to be in those moments, those blissful moments, and creating them.
You teaching. You want to live there.
Yeah, I want to live there. In this afterlife.
Right.
This afterlife.
Makes sense to me. So then you got to ask yourself, well, if you're not among God, then who would you expect to be among? Because who you among says something about you. So if you say, man, this nigga can't be God, this nigga, then what are you saying about yourself? To be in the presence of gods and goddesses, then who are you? Because God ain't going to let just anybody among them. But if you don't realize you're in the presence of gods and goddesses, how long will those gods and goddesses want to be among you? In the unrealization of who they are. Ain't that heavy? Because if you hanging around people that are, you with the Genius Club, and they working together, and you keep coming around and talking about y'all don't know shit. They're going to tell you, hey, I built this for IBM, I've done this, I've done that, what are you talking about? Don't let Billy in anymore. He doesn't see this for what this is. They only going to try to prove themselves so long. But we're not proving ourselves here for the sake of proving.